that religions of others are false. This element of falsehood in religion comes from the human mind, because humanity divided itself into separate groups in the name of the language, nation, and community. Quran emphasizes the unity of human being and brotherhood, which is based on the unity of God. Quran believes in the unity of religion. That means it rejects every form of groupism which gives emphasis on one's own religion as the only true one. Islam's distinction was humanism, and its goal was perfection of humanity. In this evolutionary progress, Islam did not recognize the artificial appellations of race, country, nation, color, and language. It's called men to the one and only relationship of natural bonds of brotherhood among the humans. Maulana Azad give the concept of Ummati Wahida, Wahadate Deen. He interpreted Ummati Wahida as a one nation. He holds that in spite of religious, racial, and other differences, India is one nation. The composite of nation for Azad was not an idea. His aim was the creation of permanent nation, which binds people irrespective of their caste, color, creed, and religion. Azad believes in united nationalism with complete harmony among all human beings. Maulana Azad's gift for mankind is scattered all over the world. It was necessary to divide it. It was inevitable that there be some means of introduction to make one group distinction from another. All these units were simply means of introduction. He is an African, he is an Arab, he is an Aryan, he is an Mongolian. This way the group were organized, but there were no distinction in this classification, nor was it real division. There was only one real distinction, and the distinction made by everyone's deeds and endeavors. Azad also says that the entire mankind essentially belong to one race and one family. In fact, there is no difference of race, for all race is one race. No difference of place, because God created the whole world for all human beings. Azad quotes many Quranic verses which declare the unity of mankind. The verses of Quran reveal that the origin of all human beings is one. Differences are the result of turning away from the path of the righteousness and from divine worship. The importance of unity and brotherhood in Islam is proved by the fact that the Prophet said, God our Lord, the Lord of the universe. I confess that only you are the Lord of the universe. I confess that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is no more than your slave and your messenger. God our Lord and the Lord of the universe. I confess that all pure people are brothers. And whatever differences they may have created among themselves, you have created them as one human race. According to Azad, there are four obstacles in the way of universal human brotherhood. There are race, country, color, and language. Humanity has historically divided into these units. Islam denies all four categories which divided humanity. Islam not only denies all four categories, it makes a clear and categorical declaration against them, leaving no room for doubts and vacillations. About race, it clearly stated that all belong to the same race. About country, it is says whether an Arab or and Persian inhabited the same God-created land. About language and color, it proclaims that they are the sign of God's wisdom and power. The climate of one place begets one color, that of another a different one. Different languages are spoken in different places. These dissimilarities, however, are not the basis of distinction and differences among mankind.
Okay. Is it over? Is your paper over, please?
No, give me 2 more minutes.
Oh,
I think
okay.
so.
Please conclude.
Yeah, now
Okay.
you may just call Professor
Give me a
Manvinder
second,
Singh
sir.
Sahab for President's remarks, and Dr. Moeed Zafar as well if he is present. First, Dr. Moeed Zafar, then you may just call Professor.
Azad said, Maulana Azad said, in this world, liberty and justice, I have adopted the path of non-violence, non-cooperation. Opposed to us understand an authority armed with the complete equipment for opposition, excess and bloodshed. But we place our reliance and trust next to God upon her own limitless power and sacrifices an unshakable fortitude. In the light of the Quranic teaching, Azad pointed out that devotion to God and righteous living constituted the essence of religion. The Quran, according to Azad, underlined the essential elements of religion in one of the verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. The verses read as follows: righteousness is not that you turn your faces in the prayer towards the east or the west, but righteousness is this, that one believe in God, in the last day, in the angels, in the book, and in the prophet, and for the love of God give of his wealth to his kindred, and to the orphans, and to the needy, and to the wayfarer, and those who ask, and to effect the freedom of the slave, and observe prayer, and pay the poor one, and is of those who are faithful to their engagements when they have engaged in them, and endure with fortitude poverty, distress, and moment of peril. These are they who are true in their faith, and these are they who are true righteous. In the commentary, Azad repeatedly emphasizes that the real intention of religion is to assert the oneness of God and the unity of mankind in his own word. He said, the unity of men is the primary aim of religion. The message which every prophet delivered was that mankind were in reality one people and one community, and there was one God only for them, and on the account they should serve him together and live as a member of one family. Such the message which every religion delivered. But curiously, the follower of every religion disregarded the message, so much so that every country, every community, and every race resolved itself into a separate group and raised groupism to the position of religion. Now,
Thank you, Madam Soleaji, for beautifully presenting your paper. And now we are moving towards the most rated moments of the session.
okay.
Thank you very much. So it was beautifully, coordinated by everyone, technical support and everyone. Now, may I request very humbly the chairman of this session, Professor Dr. Manvinder Singh from Amritsar, who has very patiently listened to every speaker out, in total 9 papers were presented. May I straightforwardly request him to please, make his presidential remarks of the session, so that everyone would be actually getting the favors of understanding the whole thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. First of all, I'm very thankful to all of you by giving me opportunity to be a part of this academic exercise. Especially, I'm very much thankful to the Institute of Objective Studies, New Delhi, and GM Momin Women's College, Bhimandi, Mumbai, for sharing my views. I'm also very much thankful to the Dr. Professor Hamid Al-Amrazi, a very dynamic personality, and who is the also spirit behind this beautiful and worthwhile academic exercise. So I once again thankful to all of you. There was a variety of topics in this session, and paper was on different personalities, religions, and movements. So I think the purpose of this academic session was fulfilled, because we talked about even Gandhi and Vivekananda, peace and Islam and other religions also. So it was a very beautiful experience for me, and where I gained too much through this academic session. And first of all, I congratulate to all of the students which are attending the seminar. I was seeing during the seminar that there are all the students were listening to the source person very carefully. So I appreciate all the students. Hats off to you, all the students. Uh, uh, I know the limit of time, so I will give my opinion within 5 minutes or less than. First of all, I want to say all the founder of the different religions and all the religions, different religions and all the personalities. I repeat again. First of all, I want to say that all the founder of the different religions and all the religious, all the personality and movements which played their unique role in peace promotion, means all the founder of the religions and all the religion both played a different role in its own way to preach the peace. At present time or era, everybody knows and aware that God is one and supreme reality is also one. If we want to try to find the answer, what is the aim of human being in this world, then we can say definitely that the aim of human being is to beautify the world or to make the more beautiful and peaceful universe. As we see towards the phenomena of religion and society, I can confirmly say religion is the main factor in every perspective, because we see either any society creates religion or any religion creates society. In both, religion is the main or base of any society. Sometimes I feel this world is like a beehive, honeybee nest, and all the religions are like honeybees. So all the religions put their positivity in the world or universe. I want to talk in simple language to the student also, because students are listening very carefully and interestingly. I talk in very simple things as we do talk in daily routine. When we see to the Mughal dynasty or Mughal Hukumat, we see they gave three main things to us. They gave main three things to India. First, Urdu language. Second, they gave us poet Ghalib. And third, they gave us Taj Mahal. And from this instance, we can say every culture and every religion can play a different and unique role in beautification of this universe. Every religion has unique attributes or messages which help the society in its own way. For example, in Christianity, there are 10 pious commitments or commands, and out of 10, you would not believe, 3 commands are about our neighbor, in which it is said that we should have good relation with our neighbor. And in Hinduism, in whole Ramayana, we see the victory of good over evil. And in the when we see in the field of hospital and education, we see towards Christianity. We know the Christianity or Christian school or Christian hospital have done their tremendous job in humanity. So we remember when we talk about education, our hospital, immediately my mind goes to the Christian religion. And when we see towards community kitchen, younger, community service, community kitchen men, so then I think the Sikh religion played an unbelievable role in spreading the community kitchen or brotherhood, message of brotherhood also. And when we see towards Islam, there are 5 pillars of Islam. Zakat plays a very important role to balance the society, whereas fasting on the month of Ramadan plays a major role in purification of inner self of human beings. And we also see in Sikh religion there is holy Granth is a Guru Granth Sahib. I think not all we know that there are only 6 Guru, composition of 6 Guru, and 15 Bhagas from all over the India. Especially Kabir and Ravidas and Ramanand. There are 15 Bhagas belong to whole India.
Excuse
So
me,
it is
sir. Hello,
it is
sir.
the interfaith dialogue composition in itself. So, and there is also a composition of Sufi Fakir Baba Farid. You would not believe. Baba Farid is also included in Guru Granth Sahib. When we bow our head on in front of Guru Granth Sahib, we bow our head Baba Farid also. So in this way, in the last, we need in the last I want to say we need every religion, we need every culture, we need every faith, and we need every diversity and dialogue between them and dialogue with them to unite and to make beautiful this world. I'm again thankful to all of you that they organize such a beautiful academic exercise and gave me also opportunity to become a part of this academic exercise. I feel and give my message and blessing to all of your organizing and listener and student teachers who gave me and arranged such a beautiful exercise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Singhji, and for your presidential remarks. Professor Mahinder Singh ji has very beautifully and comprehensively concluded about the views on the session, and we were not able to actually give the opportunity to Dr. Mukesh Simpleska, who had also had to present his paper, but due to the paucity of time, we couldn't. And but we're really thankful to the organizers, the college, which is a very vibrant college. I have been attending the sessions of this conference right from the inaugural session, and I was very personally enthused about knowing the functionalities and propensities and the mission and vision of the college to emerge as one of the best colleges in the country. And I really congratulate the college management, organizers, hosts, co-hosts, and our wishes are with them, and there's a ray of hope, especially when we talk about the minority college, and they are working very hard trying to create the network all over the world for their constructive purpose, and bringing in the forefront the needs and the necessities of the society, by which we can make this world full of love, affection, brotherhood, togetherness, equanimity, equality. So, and we are really thankful to the Institute of Objective Studies, which has been also very vibrantly working, and I'm personally witness to that. And especially the personalities who are actually on the dais, which includes my beloved teacher, Professor Hamidullah Mayazi, who is an internationally acclaimed scholar and researcher, and I am very, very thankful to Adil Malik ji and other panelists who are actually on the dais and who are off the dais also providing the technical support. Dil Malik and there are other people, Miss Simi Bawa, and I cannot see the names of the nameplates, but if the cameraman can focus on the dais so that I will be in a position to read the panel, the people on the dais, and this was really, great a moment for all of us. And inshallah, I'm very hopeful to everyone that this will remain in continuum, and I request Professor Hamidullah Marazi Sahab also to put forth his personal efforts in bringing our university, which is Islamic University of Science and Technology, one of the emerging universities in the country, which is in the north of the country, and your college is in the south of the country, so we can just move ahead and creating the academic collaboration and creating this country and this part of the world as the hub of intellectual capacities, and to move forward in this direction. Thank you very much for everyone and giving me an opportunity to moderate this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Qureshi Sahab. And we are also very grateful to Professor Momin Sahab and all the paper leaders. And
The mic is not working, so.
so, first of all, I would like to thank Professor Manvinder Singh Sahab for a very nice presidential lecture, and also conducting the whole process, and especially Dr. Shahnaz Iqbal Qureshi Sahab, who also managed this whole process in a nice way. And I am also thankful to all the paper readers, but I will request all the paper readers to submit their papers at the earliest, because we are going to publish all these papers. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, sir. That's the end from the personalities and movement for peace promotion. It was our third technical session, and the first one for the today. I thank the chairman for the session, Dr. Manvinder Singh, for being there with us online. I am also thankful to our co-chairperson for the session, Dr. Moidul Zafar, for joining us from Kashmir University. I am thankful to Dr. Shahnaz Iqbal Qureshi for moderating such a wonderful session here. I am also thankful to all our dignitaries on the dais, who assisted us and they, helped us in a way by presiding on the session. Special thanks to Professor Hamidullah Marazi sir, Professor Afzal Wani sir, Dr. Hasina Hashim ma'am. I am also thankful to our General Secretary, Mr. Sohail Faki, for joining us for this morning session, and our own principal, Dr. Nisar Ahmed Sheikh, for joining for this particular session. I am also thank you for, express my gratitude to all the paper presenters for presenting such a wonderful papers, and audiences, as well as all our guests and organizers. Thank you once and again to everyone. Okay. Okay. I request Dr. Ziaur Rahman sir to kindly come on the dais for taking, just for some time, sir, just to sit on the, please, sir. We are starting with our fourth session, and I call upon and request Dr. Nandita Singh to take charge of that session. Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning to one and all present here. I'm honored to be standing here in front of so many eminent dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. After a very enriching session 3, we are moving forward to the next session, session 4. The theme of this session is religious understanding for preserving peaceful and harmonious society. We have eminent scholars chairing and co-chairing this session. The chairperson for this session is Professor G.N. Kaki. Professor Kaki is a director, Center of Central Asian Studies, University of Kashmir, Srinagar. Professor Kaki is also holding several posts there. He is the Provost, University of Kashmir. He is Dean, Students' Welfare, University of Kashmir. We are honored to have you here. Our co-chairperson for today is Dr. Shivani Sharma. Dr. Shivani Sharma is Associate Professor, Department of Philosophy, Punjab University. We are honored to have you here, ma'am. The moderator for today's session is Professor Simin Bawa, Head Department of Philosophy, Jai Hind College, Mumbai. Ma'am, we are very happy that you are taken over as the moderator for this session. And we will start the presentation without any delay. It's a request with all the participants or presenters that please follow the time limit of 5 minutes. I now hand over the session to Professor Bawa to conduct the session.
Thank you so much, madam. Let us begin with the first paper. We have Dr. Amar Singh. He is the Assistant Professor for Department of Philosophy at University of Mumbai. His topic is, what is the role and impact of religion in social harmony? Over to you, Dr. Amar Singh.
Yes, ma'am. I will take. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ma'am. My paper is talks about what is the role and impact of religion for social harmony. As you have introduced myself, so I would start my paper immediately. Okay, you want once? Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm very. I'm glad that you have accepted my paper. So I would like to make it in brief. What is the role? How does religious practice play an important role in society? So to examine this religious practice and its impact on society, so let us see what's this foundations which heavy Indian culture has, and which is very much rooted in moral obligation. So where the problem happens is when the religion is invalid, when the text is misinterpreted and loses its ethical standards. So this religious standard are being seen as a potential resource of love and wisdom, provides both theological doctrine and philosophical conviction. So here I want to focus that how religion can play an important role for this social harmony, and especially when we see to that Indian culture and tradition which has a Indic approach of Vasudev Kutumba. It's like the religious tradition, even while this is that it is not just for human, it is also a non-living being where we treat all of them equally. So most religion uphold the necessity of human intellect and rationality, which is a constructive line of approach rather than negative. So religion is ethical, but it is autonomous in character in order to specify its dogma. And especially when we focus on bring our focus back to Vedic culture, it has a scope to unite the world. Like when we can, it's a big example that we have, that yoga, how yoga is getting the whole world together. So like Ayurveda, so this can get people on a same platform where we can have love, compassion and harmony between all. Though there's a diversity, but still it can bring, like for example, we can see here now a practical example of how yoga is playing a big role universally. So according to, when we come back to religion, according to Hindu tradition, dharma plays an important role in social harmony. And dharma is of course a foundational element in Hindu thought. Despite its variegated meanings, it has a different meaning. But it brings us that what is my duty? What is my duty towards myself, my society, my nation, my country, the whole universe, even to the non-living being? What is my duty? So to reconcile this ethical principle, the most important part is what is non-violence, is Ahimsa, which definitely brings out a new beginning towards the society, a steady growing body of evidence from the social science demonstrate that the regular religious practice benefit individuals, families and communities. So the purpose of this paper is that first to examine the root of religious conception of morality and then to show its relation with social harmony. So I would like to bring in here that how sometimes religion, I'm not able to hear.
You are audible.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, because I'm not getting, I'm getting a reverb. All fine, yeah. So when we go back to basic meaning, the etymology of religion, which is basically comes from Latin word called religare, which is it is commonly discussed now, to bind, to tie up. As compared to dharma, dharma is a root word which comes from dhri, which means to uphold, to maintain. That's what is called as a eternal dharma. What is my eternal dharma? So this Indic religious identity is basically talks about the dharma. What is my dharma? What is my duty towards human society, towards humanity? So we have seen many times, as a matter of fact, we want harmony inwardly, but in our own consciousness, we also want, we cannot have individual peace unless there is harmony or cooperation socially among the society. So if you see Bhagavad Gita, it talks about the tolerance, whatever, it was so famous few years back, intolerance and tolerance. But if you see the Bhagavad Gita, it teaches us what is tolerance.
Dr. Amar Singh, humbly requesting you to conclude.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. So I'll try to conclude here. Oh yeah. So the conclusion here, what is that all religion, whether it's a Hindu religion, Christian religion, or a Muslim religion, the important point is taking God's name. That is what can bring peace. First of all, before getting an argument into it, first we have to know whether do you follow your religion. Do I take God's name? Then you can come into the platform of debate. If you don't follow your own religion, how can you debate? You have to know your religion first. That is the basic idea. So there's a problem happens, it is because we don't know our religion. We don't read our books. We don't follow our religion. So that is the major problem today, what we can see all around the world. It is because we don't follow it. We don't get a proper interpretation of our text. That is what gives a problem. And the problem can be solved only through when it takes God's name. Like it's given in Vedas, it's given into all the holy books that we have to chant the holy name of God. That is the most important point, and then only there can be social harmony. Then we can see that all we are children of God. So that's the point, and this can bring social harmony to the whole human society.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amar Singh, and you have made some very, very important points and bringing in the web of dharma, religion, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with this, we call in the second speaker, Dr. Zabeen Anjum. She is the former principal, Jamia Urdu College of Education, Aligarh. Her topic is Prophet's Peace, Mission and Analysis. Over to you, Dr. Zabeen Anjum.
Yes. I'm here now. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Okay. Very good morning and salam alaikum to all of you. First of all, I would like to I'm very thankful for giving me the opportunity. And the title of my paper is Understanding Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's Peace Mission. As you may have noticed that I am not keeping well, so I would like to just highlight some of the points of my paper here, and it won't take much time. And I would like to start only few points. In today's perspective, I will say that hatred breeds hatred and love breeds love. So creating peace in society is the foremost duty of Muslims. Establishing peace in society is essential in the political philosophy of Islam for the prosperity of the country In the proposed paper, we will present and attempt to understand the position the Holy Quran and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam hold and contribute to peacemaking effort in the contemporary world. In this context, the paper aims to show how does the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam set an example to establish peace. The study would aim to the basic and essential virtues of Islam for the establishment of peace, harmony, and social justice in society through his political acumen, making peace decisions which are documented in the Constitution of Medina, Sulh Hudaybiyah, general amnesty after successful entry into the holy city of Makkah, and the Prophet's famous farewell sermon. Prophet Muhammad's position on war and peace is in strict conformity with the holy book, which is illustrated by several hadith. I have mentioned many hadith in my paper here, but right now I'm not reading them out. You can read when it is published. Now we come to three important occurrences or events or documents which will explain how far the Prophet of Islam reached to establish and assure a peaceful state and polity. In this regard, first comes the Constitution of Medina. The document also regulated relations between Muslims and other communities. This constitution aimed to protect all inhabitants of Medina regardless of religion, and clearly stated that Jews and Muslims can practice their religions freely. The Constitution of Medina is often considered to be the first document in the history to establish religious freedom as a right. Below, I am leaving aside the clauses of the Constitution. You can read in the article. Next event which tells about Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's concern for peace is Sulh Hudaybiyah, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah was a pivotal treaty that took place between the Muslim community of Medina and the Quraysh of Makkah at a place called Hudaybiyah. This treaty led to the subsequent opening of Makkah. This event later led to greater acceptance shown by the people of Makkah towards the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Islam. Even though both parties mutually agreed upon the terms, the treaty is said undeniably in favor of the Quraysh. However, the Prophet ﷺ saw something in the treaty that his companions could not see. The Prophet saw in the treaty an opportunity to strengthen community and nation building initiatives in Medina, so Medina may flourish. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ acceptance and agreement of the term, despite its imbalances, amounted to securing peace and refrain from perpetual conflict and warfare. Another event which established the glory of Islam in the Holy Land is related to the conquest of Makkah, which took place in 8th after Hijrah during the month of Ramadan. Mujahid narrated that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam got up on the day of the conquest of Makkah and said,
Dr.
Allah has
Sahin
made
Nanju,
Makkah.
can I please request you to conclude?
Yeah, sure, okay. There are a few points, but right now I'm not read them out. I will just read the conclusion. The farewell sermon of the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala marks a landmark in the political and social history of Islam. This sermon removed all kinds of discriminations and declared piety as the criterion for getting on to highest place before the Almighty Allah. In the end, it would suffice to say that Prophet's mission of peace and harmony is for all times to come. Muslims all over the world are therefore expected to strive hard to establish peace and harmony. The peaceful face of Islam should not be allowed to be blurred by any prejudice or Islamophobia. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you so much, madam. And you have given us a very important message of peace by Prophet, peace be upon him. I now call upon Miss Ujala Amin and Dr. Naseem Gul. Miss Ujala Amin is a PhD scholar, Department of Islamic Studies, BGSB University, Dajori. And we have Dr. Naseem Gul, who is an assistant professor, Department of Islamic Studies, BGSB University, Jammu and Kashmir. Their topic is the message of peace and communal harmony in the teachings of Sufis. Over to both of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I am here to present a paper on the topic, the message of peace and communal harmony in the teaching of Sufis, which has been co-authored by my supervisor, Dr. Naseem Gul. Due to the paucity of time, it won't be possible for me to read the whole paper here, so I will be reading the main point discussed in the topic and will try to provide you the gist. In today's pluralized world, human beings appear to be nomadic in their approach to chaos and violence. Misfortune, calamity appears inevitably. People are divided by caste, color, race, language, faith, sect, caste and creed, and a variety of other factors. Hatred, contempt, and intolerance have become the norm. Uncertainty afflicts not only ordinary people, intellectuals who are plagued by uncertainties and disappointment, rendering them sluggish, indecisive, and powerless. In this environment, we require a comprehensive ideology to overcome these obstacles and restore world peace and harmony. Who should we go to in this situation to bring about change, peace, harmony, tolerance, and non-aggressions, our fellow human? The modern world has an urgent need to look for the people who believe in the universal spirit of peace. People who believe in religion may differ in certain essential ways, such as formal procedures, terminology, and language. Yet, they are not unlike in spirit. People who believe that all humans are made in the image of God and are therefore equal. They are the Sufis who believe that God created man in his image. They thought that because God is love, the man created in his image should be a representation of love, devoid of animosity, bias, or malice. Their ideology does not oppose or reject any other ideology, creed, or belief, but its central objective is to embrace variety and eliminate disparities. During the Middle Age, Sufis had created humanistic value to foster humanitarianism. Take a look what the Sufis have contributed to society by sharing their message of love. This aspect of the Sufi's life may help to promote love and affection for all individuals while also eradicating animosity for others. Sufi's ideology has the power to separate the torch of peace, virtue, and balance to people all across the world. Sufism accepts everyone without reservation. It welcomes Muslim and non-Muslims alike joining the Sufi path, regardless of their educational level. Sufism promotes human brotherhood, peace, social justice, economic prosperity, equality, happiness, and tolerance. This idea is not only about spiritual pleasures, but it also encompasses other elements of life. It is the notion that reform civilization in a tangible sense, and the ramification of that reformation can be seen for generations. The Sufi concept of peaceful cohabitation Here are the numerous historical examples of Sufism leading to a more tolerant society. They bridge the gap between different faiths and brought them on a single platform of humanity and love. Sufi's teaching emphasize humanity, worldwide brotherhood, commitment, tolerance, understanding, acceptance, and accommodation to all kinds of differences. This flavor of knowledge and motivation is a potent antidote to any little squabbles that jeopardize harmonious coexistence. Sufism is a positive attitude that promotes excitement and a healthy lifestyle by providing a large space for all individuals living on the planet to coexist in mutual respect. Sufi's teaching assists the seeker in turning away from sins, worldly love of company and reputation, satanic impulse, obedience, and lower self-promoting. The Tasawwuf instill and support love, peace, universal brotherhood, and social justice as virtue. Serving humanity, they believe, is serving God. For the sake of Allah, their aim is to serve others with love. The Tasawwuf spiritual orientation simply intend to refine divine consciousness, intensify piety, and instill a humanistic mindset. They always engage in finding and separating knowledge and believe in God.
Madam, may I please request you to conclude?
Okay. The Sufi taught young Muslim in Islamic concept, assisted the destitute and needy, attracted local people, converted them to Islam, and occupied a respectable place in society. The Sufi instilled in this country a new attitude of tolerance, brotherhood, equality, and universal love. The Sufis were adored by everyone regardless of caste, creed, race, sex, or religion. They educated people about humanity, judicial equality in human connections, and the significance, greatness, and comprehension of Sufism. It made people's hearts sacred and filled with heavenly love and helped them to be clear and clean. That is why Sufism placed a high value on human beings and humanity. The Sufi spiritual strength and moral nature gained the hearts of the local Sufi khankas were actually meeting place for Hindus and Muslims to reconcile. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, madam. And you have given us you have enlightened us on the notion of love, peace, harmony, given to us by the Sufi saints. I next call upon Ms. Pujita Goswami and Rumit Balia. Pujita Goswami is a scholar, Center for Peace and Conflict Studies, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Guwahati, Assam. And she is joined with Rumit Walia, who is from the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, IGNOU. Their topic for the day is Youth and Interfaith Leadership, Value-Based Peace Building by Advancing Religious Peace Ideals. Over to you both.
Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible and my screen is visible.
Yes, you are audible, and we can see your screen as well.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm Pujita Goswami and I co-authored this paper with Mr. Rumit Walia with the theme Peace, Youth and Interfaith Leadership, Value-Based Peace Building by Advancing Religious Peace Ideals. So, starting with the paper, interreligious dialogue worldwide has become a source of resolving conflict and a vital step towards peace by advancing peace ideals of understanding the commonality of all the practices and promoting solidarity. So in this, youth are engaged in the process of interreligious dialogue for sustaining peace, especially by the non-governmental organizations. They highly motivate the youth to become the strength of change and serve their role in interreligious peace building. A similar approach is being conducted by an international NGO, not a non-governmental organization, Global Peace Foundation, which I will be highlighting in this presentation. Yes. So in the contemporary time, there's a rise of violent extremism can be observed through direct or indirect conflict, and also it takes place through rise of terrorism. So in this, people have identified the religion differences as the significant cause of war. But it has been also studied by scholars that how religion in itself can promote peace and become a tool for peace in the society. Now, various civil society and non-governmental organizations are working to maintain peace, bring development, and to ensure security, and also through a bottom-up approach where they are trying to achieve it through grassroots development. And in this process, the scholars and even organizations has observed youth to play a very important role. Even UN Resolution 2250 has mentioned youth to be a very important actors in resolving conflict and establishing sustainable peace. Now, talking about religion, it has the ability to mobilize the whole community towards a particular goal, through its symbol, teachings, values, and learning. So, religion has been observed as a double sword, where in one age it promoting conflict in some region, while in the other age, it has the ability to bring world change and establish peace in the society. And one of the important factors that lies here is the dialogues and interaction among the groups, which is considered to be very necessary to control the violent extremism that is rising around the world, and which also provides empathy and moral concerns. So dialogue and education, as mentioned by Gulen, is stated to be very important in such condition. Religion dialogue is stated to nurture respectful, sympathetic, and dignified relationship by fostering trust, promoting creative solution, and increasing likelihood of transition from good thoughts to good behaviors. It has also been criticized, the interfaith dialogues or interreligious dialogues, as being only been limited to the elites, religious elites. But in the contemporary times, various organizations are also trying to bring the development by involving the community in such practices, such as the non-governmental organization. Now, if we talk about the non-governmental organizations and its relation with peace, it has been trying to not only create or establish a state of absence of war, which is negative peace, but also to bring positive peace through its various initiatives on human rights, humanitarian intervention, child and women development, communal harmony, and many others. One of the scholars, Christopher Rickard, has mentioned that NGOs are involved in this peace process through multi-track diplomacy, such as government, non-governmental organization, commerce, personal involvement of private citizens in peace building, education, activism, religion, philanthropic funding, and information. So the organization which I will be mentioning, Global Peace Foundation, it is involved in this multi-track diplomacy through non-governmental organization, personal involvement of private citizens in peace building, that is the youth, educating the youth about the religion, and specifically through the religious ideals to create an inclusive society. Now, talking about Global Peace Foundation, it's an international non-governmental organization which is present in 24 countries around the globe with the vision of one family under God, and it works with the approach of value-based peace building. It believes in human nature to find its fullest expression and meaning while interacting or building relation with others, and believe every human has intrinsic values, dignity, and fundamental rights and endowed by the creators. Now, in 2014, Global Peace Foundation has established its branch in India and has conducted an interfaith dialogue on peace and harmony among the religious elites. And after that, it has started working on community-driven peace building by including the community in the peace building process. So in that, they've initiated the project Assets of Faith. So it's a training process for youth from the age of 18 to 25, a 15 days training project. It takes place twice a year, which provide them the knowledge of religion and peace, and give them opportunity to have interreligious dialogue. So in this, 3 levels of training take place, where in the first training, they are introduced to interfaith by first
Madam,
selection.
may I please request you to conclude?
Okay, I'll do it quickly. So religion, people from different religion practices, those youth from different religion practices are involved. They are, it's a 3% introduction to interfaith. Then they are visited different religious places, and they are learn about the practices, and at the end they get together and discuss what are the changes made. So in this, they undertake a dialogue in which they directly talk to the religious heads and visit the places, observe, learn, and then to understand these values that every religion promotes and the common shared values and commonality. So develop interfaith leadership through 3H, heart, head, and hand, which is also stated as an important factor for interfaith dialogue by Muhammad Abu Namar, where they emotionally and rationally get learn about the peace values that in the religion promotes, the shared values, and also they serve in those areas, so that in community practices and also in the religious places where they learn more about the common values, and it helps in challenging the misconception that they had before. So many of the youth involved, they have initiated their own programs and has used these values in various fields where they are working. So non-governmental organizations like Global Peace Foundation in India extensively use religious peace ideals with the value-based approach to urge and train the youth to dilute religious differences and become a force of advancing peace among the groups belonging to different religious and cultural identities. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, madam, for this very important message on youth and interfaith dialogue. We now call upon Momin Ahmed Khan, who is a research scholar, Department of Islamic Studies, AMU, Aligarh. The topic that the scholar is going to talk about is Ottoman inter-religious understanding for promoting peace and harmony with special reference to millet system. Over to you, Momin Ahmed Khan.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible and we can see your screen as well.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to all. Thank you for giving this opportunity to presenting my paper, which is entitled Interreligious Understanding of Ottomans for Promoting Peace and Harmony with a special reference to millet system. So first of all, I would like to discuss the introductory part of the topic. The Turkoman Muslim tribes migrated westward away from the Mongol tribe under the leadership of Ertugrul's son Osman I. The Ottoman state emerged as a result of an Islamic movement, and Ottoman Empire established in 1299. The administrative structure of the Ottoman Empire was a theoretical, rigorous hierarchy, system and order. The conquest of Constantinople laid the groundwork for the Ottoman state. A few months after his May 29 and 1453 conquest of Constantinople, Sultan Muhammad II the Conqueror made a fateful decision regarding the organization of his expanding empire. A millet system formed and regulated by Ottoman rulers to organize the empire's religious groups from the conquest of Constantinople in 1453 to the 19th century is at times celebrated as perhaps the most successful and long-running example of non-territorial autonomy. Next is the main important point of the topic, the formation of millet system. Sultan Muhammad II the Conqueror made an essential decision about the institute of his expanding empire a few months after capturing Constantinople on 29th May 1453. Muhammad II had decided to divide the empire.
Mr. Khan, do you want to change your slide?
Yes, ma'am.
We can only see the first slide. Yes, you are now on the second slide. Thank you. Please continue.
Muhammad II decided to divide the empire into different millets to make it easier to manage the empire. The millet was an indirect form of governance based on religious differences. The Greek, Jews and Armenian communities were the three main millets in the Ottoman Empire. Institutional division of the society and the millet, which means nation, system was developed by dividing society into communities along religious lines, with each group or person belonging to one millet or another depending on its spiritual affinity. It is the most important point. What was the position of minorities under the millet system? The Ottoman millet system was not unique to society. The peoples of southeastern Europe had previously given the globe directions. According to millet system, the authority had given to the church in each state to govern itself. So the millet system was getting more successful in fulfilling the disparity gap between Muslims and Orthodox Christians. The Ottoman Empire's millet system was not an imposition of anything foreign. Instead, it was consistent with their prior experience and legacy. So, what was the legacy of Ottoman Empire? Until the 19th century, the administration of non-Muslims was not identical and diverse according to region or group, but same as the Muslims. The Ottoman system highlighted the welfare of collectives over the uses of individuals, and it emphasized justice over freedom through the millet system under the Ottoman Empire. The Christian and Jewish societies were allowed a significant gradation of independence, like tax collection, education, spiritual and legal affairs, etc. The Jews who were excluded from Spain were also formed 3 millets with separate representations, like Catholics, Karaites and Samaritans. So, what was the impact of the millet? What is the impact of millet system on world and society? Millet is frequently associated with the Ottoman system to deal with non-Muslim subjects of the empire. These non-Muslim communities were designed according to the millet system, which provided minority religious society with a limited amount of power to regulate their matters under the centralized supremacy of the Ottoman administration. These various
Mr. Khan, can I please request you to conclude the session?
Yes, ma'am. Fundamental rights were preserved under this unique social system until the introduction of the so-called Western reforms named Tanzimat reforms. So, in concluding, after conquering the Constantinople in 1453, the empire's Greek, Jews and Armenian millets or religiously defined communities were enjoyed broad freedom of choice under the Ottoman Empire through millet system. These millets were given the freedom to use their language, establish their institutions and collect tax collections in addition to religious law. The millet system was one of a kind and inventive approach to managing a mixed and diversified empire. The millet system was abolished in mid of 1900 with the introduction of the liberal Tanzimat reforms in favoring a more European style separatist government. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Momin Ahmad Khan, for this very novel and very enlightening topic. We'll request students to maintain a little silence as we are finding it little difficult to listen to the speakers. Thank you, students. I now call upon Munib Ahmad, who happens to be a research scholar, Department of Islamic Studies, IUST JNK. Topic that the scholar is going to talk about is an Islamic cum Hindu approach to interreligious dialogue. I'm sure, students, there's a lot for you to take back from this session, and humbly requesting you to maintain silence. Over to you, Mr. Munib Ahmad.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'm very fortunate, Hannah, that you have been given me such an opportunity to talk here. I will start my presentation with the quote of Allama Iqbal. गवादी हमने अस्लाफ से जो मीरास पाई थी, गवादी हमने अस्लाफ से जो मीरास पाई थी, सुरैया से जमीन पर आसमान ने हमको दे मारा. Now I'm going to start with the introductory part of my topic, an Islamic cum Hindu approach to interreligious dialogue. An increasingly popular issue in today's world is the dialogue among the followers of different religions. Human beings are living in a world with diverse ethnic, religious, and cultural backgrounds. Every day, we interact with the people of other religions in the form of neighbors, classmates, friends, and colleagues. Thus, the interreligious experience has become a part of our daily life experience. Interreligious dialogue is truly important for maintaining a harmonious relationship and peaceful coexistence among religious groups. There have been innumerable tragic events in the history of the world. The 9/11 attacks, the Israel-Palestine conflict, the conflict in the Middle East, Muslim-Buddhist conflicts in Thailand and Myanmar, and the Hindu-Muslim clashes in India and Bangladesh are real and current scenarios plaguing the world. and appear to be the contrary to religious beliefs in general. We know that every religion, teaches universal love and preaches sympathy for other human beings. Yet it is in the name of religion that we see many heinous crimes being perpetrated, resulting in the death of many innocents. And it is reported in the Human Rights Watch 2016. It's a high time to realize the root of this problem and to find a solution that unites people of different religions and the cultural background together to make a meaningful contribution to interreligious dialogue for the greater interest of the humanity. Interreligious dialogue is an essential tool for mitigating interreligious tensions that prevail among people in the world. Dialogue is not a new concept. It is as old as the history of human beings. History has recorded many initiatives of interreligious dialogue. Today, interreligious dialogue is the reflection of the first Parliament of World Religions at Chicago in 1893. It is sometimes regarded as the birth of interreligious movement. Many, interreligious organizations such as the International Association for Religious Freedom, World Council of Churches, United Religious Initiative, and Interfaith Center for Sustainable Development, and the King Abdul Aziz International Center for Interreligious and Intercultural Dialogue have been working on interreligious dialogue. Islam, being a universal religion, teaches love, tolerance, and sympathy for humanity. Muslims have played a vital role in promoting interreligious harmony since the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Holy Quran also contains various examples of dialogue and interreligious relationships. Al-Quran chapter number 49 verse number 13 and Al-Quran Surah Al-Ma'idah chapter number 5 verse number 48. These are the references that I'm quoting here. And chapter number 16 Surah Al-Nahl verse number 125. The dialogue between the prophets and God, angels and God, prophets and their people, even dialogue with the devil are mentioned. The Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, peace be upon him, was truly a model for positive engagement even before he achieved prophethood. The replacement of the black stone, Hajar al-Aswad, is an example of the Prophet's positive engagement in solving tribal disputes in Mecca 5 years before beginning his prophetic journey. For this reason, people used to call him Al-Amin, the trustworthy, As-Sadiq, the
Mr.
truthful.
Ahmed, can I please request
ma'am.
you to conclude your paper?
Okay, ma'am. Now I'm coming on Hindus' approach to interreligious dialogue, and I'm concluding the topic, inshallah. Now, Hindus' perspective to interreligious dialogue. Dialogue has always been important in Hinduism too. Many of the Upanishads, religious texts, take the form of a dialogue, discussing philosophy from different points of view. Many of Hindu saints were renowned for their debate and dialogue, frequently changing their opinion as a result. Adi Shankara starts by asking an outcast to move aside and ends up concluding that when one knows God, then caste is irrelevant, and that the outcast is Shiva himself. Such literally means true company is respectful dialogue among devotees along with reflection and meditation. This is positively encouraged by many Hindu lineages. Nowadays, this sometimes takes place in the closed internet forums, private school networking groups, etc. And this is seen as valuable as long as it aids learning and spirituality and does not lead to discord. Thank you. Bi amanillah.
Thank you so much for throwing light on such an important topic in these contemporary times. With this, we move on to the next speaker, Mr. Amit Jayan Deshmukh, who happens to be a PhD scholar, Department of Philosophy, University of Mumbai, and his topic is religious harmony. Over to you, Mr. Amit Jayan Deshmukh. Do we have Mr. Amit Jayan Deshmukh? Okay. We'll move on to Mr. Uruz Nazim, who happens to be a research scholar, and his topic is Sufism and peaceful dialogue. Over to you, Mr. Uruz Naseem.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes. I'm so sorry. Is that a Mr. or a Miss?
I'm Miss.
Miss. I'm so sorry about that. Heartfelt apologies. Please continue, Miss Uruz.
Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon to all. My name is Uruz Naseem. I'm a research scholar in Aligarh Muslim University. My paper deals with Sufism and peaceful dialogue, and to what extent it has given the platform for fruitful discussion and the role of components like Wahdatul Wujud and Fitra. Dialogues between Muslims and other religions as a practice has a long history. During the early period after the emergence of Islam, many dialogues took place, and it might seem to lack a proper conduct at that time and was more like a heated argument, but with the passing time it did ameliorate, which is now seen as ideal structure of dialogue. The world is really chaotic and intolerant, and in this, Sufism is the real balm on wounded hearts. In the early period of Islam, when the rulers and power mongers used bloodshed, bribery, and any means to validate and secure their claims on power, in contrast to rightly guided caliphs, many learned, delusioned by ruling regimes, materialism, and pleasure-indulgent abstained themselves from political ground, and these men tried to seek truth and the real meaning of life. The Sufis are basically spiritual people and believe in peace and harmony as a part of human existence. They loved everyone, and their love transcends all religious, cultural, linguistic, and ethnic boundaries. And everyone was equal in their eyes, as Quran claims to be. There is a common doctrine in all Sufi silsilas, that is Sulh-e-Kul, means peace with all. The great Mughal Emperor Akbar laid the foundation of Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb and applied in his political affairs. Maulana Rum, one of the greatest Sufi saints and poet, used to say, "Come to me, O Muslims, come to me, O Jews, come to me, O Christians, and come to me if you are a sinner." Ibn al-Arabi, one of the most renowned Sufi and master of many, says in one of his poems, "Hubbe Deene wa Shariati," that is, love is my religion and my Sharia. These examples shows us the liberal and secular attitude of saints and how Sufism has given the humanitarian approach of Quran. Ibn al-Arabi is also credited for the concept of Wahdatul Wujud, which means unity of existence or oneness of being. Wahdatul Wujud helped the saints to penetrate the veil of physical structure of nature, that is caste, creed, and religion. Sufis were the threads that holds Hindus and Muslims together and assimilate all the languages and cultures of India. In Punjab, Baba Fariduddin made his presence felt through his advocation of the path of love, in preference to that of intellect. Baba Farid opted for a local Punjabi language for his writings instead of Arabic and Persian to assimilate himself with local culture and to reach the hearts of masses. He was so much revered by the Sikh community that his poems are included in the Sikh scriptures and recited by thousands of people on a daily basis. With the entry of Sufism in India and their constant interaction with the Hindu yogis and siddhas, a great cultural fusion began to take place. Sufis influenced many Hindu yogis and saints. In the same way, they too came under the influence of the Hindu way of life. Muhammad Ghaus recommended in his Bahrul Hayat the use of some Hindu incantations and sees many similarities between the Sufi ideology and the Hindu yoga system. Many Sufi held Brahma to be Adam and took the Vedas as the divine books. Learned theologians like Allama Mashrafi and Khwaja Hasan Nizami accepted some gods of Hindu pantheons like Rama and Krishna as the prophet of Allah. Maulana Hasrat Mohani, a renowned poet, held Krishna in great esteem and used to visit Mathura every year on the occasion of Janmashtami. Guru Nanak also seemed influenced by Baba Farid and other Sufis as he was arousing people to the way of the Lord, asking them to be a specimen of humanity and not of any caste, creed and community. Sufis could not change the system or stop the exploitation of peasantry or artisan class, yet they tried their best. They established khanqahs where people belonged to different faith and class ate langar without any discrimination. It is a very important point to note that Sufis never deterred to espouse and assimilate spiritual practices from other sources than Islam. In this regard, they were very liberal and even had a universalist approach. There is a possibility that a famous doctrine, Panchashil, that is dying to oneself and living in him, might have been taken from Hinduism, as it is found much in Hinduism. I would like to conclude my paper with the fact that the leadership of some Sufi orders became bequeathed, but we cannot deny the fact that Sufi saints contributed a lot to promoting communal harmony and infusing the spiritual and moral values among the masses. And they wholeheartedly and with utmost respect welcomed all, irrespective of caste, color, and religion. And this is how they have a great contribution in creating peace and harmony. That is all for my paper. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Uruz. That was a very powerful message and some amazing, fantastic ideas shared by you. We now call upon Sabah Irshad Ansari, PhD Scholar, Department of Islamic Studies, AMU. And the scholar's topic is Ahimsa and Jihad il-Ma-Navi, drawing parallels between the two imperatives. Over to you, Sabah Irshad Ansari.
A very good morning to all of you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Thank you so much.
Okay, I extend my warm greetings to the chairperson, to the moderator, and all of those participants who are joining who have joined the conference online as well as offline. So my paper talks about Ahimsa and jihad il-Ma-Navi, and I'm focused on drawing parallels between the two imperatives, right? Because I'm more focused on what's happening in India right now, the current crisis that India is facing. So as world's greatest democracy, India is currently facing a crisis which is unprecedented in the history of independent India. The violent forces which have unleashed against the minority communities in the country pose a major threat, not only to its democracy, but also to the very idea of India. The harassment of minority communities has seen a massive surge in the last decade. And if there is anything that can reunite the cultural diversity of India and work as an antidote to this crisis, I believe is Ahimsa, a non-violent path laid by Mahatma Gandhi. If we have a closer look at the concept of Ahimsa and what it means to people who follow it, those who live by the standards of Ahimsa in their daily lives, we will learn that it has a parallel with Jihad al-Manavi laid by Sayyid Nursi, who is a modern Muslim theologian from Turkey. Now, Jihad al-Manavi is a non-spiritual jihad or metaphorical jihad or incorporeal jihad, which is a jihad with the lower self, a jihad with your nafs. Whereas Colin Turner says, jihad in which one uses metaphorical swords to fight their own decadence, their own nafs. On one hand, where Gandhi's Ahimsa can lead an individual to attain the highest spiritual awareness. On the other, Sayyid Nursi's spiritual jihad will lead to the strengthening of firm belief in God, that is Tawheed, and thereby inculcating moral and ethical values in a believer. Mahatma Gandhi's application of Ahimsa to the politics makes him stand out among his contemporaries. And I quote Dennis Dalton here, and he writes, Gandhi's ideal was active non-violent resistance to injustice. Hatred and violence were incompatible with the method that he had conceived because his theory rested squarely on the principle of Ahimsa, which he variously translated as non-violence, love, and charity, quote close. Now, Mahatma Gandhi fused his own interpretation of this belief with ideas he found in Tolstoy and the Sermon on the Mount. So, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please continue.
Okay. So, Sayyid Nursi, on the other hand, believes that a civilized society can only progress forward by pursuing education, love, justice, and truth. Nursi abhors people who use religion as a tool for politics and condemns the idea of using force to persuade people. Nursi mentions two types of jihad, internal and external. For the internal jihad, it is the sacrifice of I for the collective we, which is currently in need, which he identifies as jihad al-akbar. Nursi thinks that it is this jihad which will help Muslims fight their decadence. Nursi says that civilized people need to be conquered by force, but through peaceful persuasion. Not by force, but through peaceful persuasion. Now, Turner writes, and I quote, to this end, All that Muslims have to do is demonstrate the elevated nature of Islam with the tongue of mute eloquence, namely by adhering to the precepts of Islam in the presence of others. Quote close. Nursi believes that instead of using physical weapons, it is time for Muslims to use incorporeal swords of education, truth, justice, and morality, because it is in these that Nursi believed the true meaning of Islam will be manifested. I'd like to conclude by saying that while both the streams of thoughts, Ahimsa and Jihad Manavi, emerged in a different context and were meant for fighting different problems, both seem to have a parallel. It is this parallel that has the potential to change the hate.
May I please request you to conclude? Humble request.
Yeah,
you
I'm
to
just
conclude.
concluding. So,
thanks.
Yeah, just a second, please. I'd like to conclude by saying that while both streams of thought, Ahimsa and Jihad al-Manavi, emerged in a different context and were meant for fighting different problems, both seem to have a parallel. And it is this parallel that has the potential to change the hateful currents that have taken up India as a democracy by storm. We should put our differences aside and unite on common grounds. That is what Ahimsa teaches us. That is what Jihad al-Manavi teaches us. We should instead embrace our differences and create mutual respect and understanding. We should rather create an atmosphere of love, peace, and harmony, and more kindness. It is high time we realize and unite together to fight hate and violence, communal hate and violence, and promote peace and harmony to safeguard the future of this beautiful country we call India. Thank you very much.
Superb. Thank you so much, Sabha. That was a powerful message. And the convergence of these two topics is really going to be hopefully the way forward for us. And you really spoke very well. Besides the content, the way you spoke made your message even more powerful. Bestest wishes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful being here. Thank you very much.
Welcome. We now move on to our next speaker. We have three speakers. We have a paper by Adil Hussain Malik, Mohammad Zahid Itu, and Shaukat Ahmad Waga. All of them happen to be research scholars from Department of Islamic Studies, AMU Aligarh. And their topic for the day is the concept of peace and harmony in Islam, relevance in contemporary conflict-ridden society. Over to you all.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi to all of you. The topic of my presentation is the concept of peace and harmony in Islam, relevance in contemporary conflict-ridden society. Let me start with an introduction. Muslims hold firm belief that the divine scripture stands for peace and mercy for all creatures. For them, the revealed scripture, if executed, revealed principles, if executed effectively, there would be justice, peace, and harmony in the society. The foundational source of Islam, the Quran, is embedded with principle pertaining to the peace, and the seerah of the Prophet also laid the emphasis on proclaiming the attitude of peace and harmony. Islam, from its inception, condemns and eliminates the violence and terrorism through its just war theory. The Quran repeatedly inspires Muslims to have coordinated relation towards the followers of other faiths. The Quran advocates a war theory not for its hegemony but for establishment of peaceful social order. Moreover, the Quran, as the foundational source of Islamic teachings, and acknowledges that human beings are basically prone to cooperate, predisposal to conflict, and promotes the principles to manage the conflict through the peaceful settlements. In contemporary times, the concept of peace and harmony has become imperative for the survival of humanity. In global war and politics, the excessive use of nuclear weapons have resulted in enormous, if not the whole devastation of our planet. The need for universal peace grounded on harmony, justice, and for the safeguard of humanity has thus become the maxim in the contemporary age of globalization. With the immediate advent of science and technology, the increasingly shrinking global village has witnessed at least a couple of centuries bloody war, conflicts, innocent killings, continuing destruction of peace, and violations of universal principles. For example, the 20th century witnesses two major and greatest destructive wars. world wars alone. In addition, taking into consideration the present tension between Russia and Ukraine, Afghanistan and USA, Palestine and Israel, which has affected almost all hearts and minds of civilized citizens. The question arises here is that how the present tension in the global politics can be eliminated, how the war between developing and underdeveloped countries can be solved, how the peace and harmony can be prevailed in conflict-ridden society. Is there any religion which can address and solve the tension? For a layman, the answer will be no. Islamic concept of peace. Islam is a religion that promotes non-violence and opposes violence. The fundamental teaching of Islam embedded with basic values that encourage conflict and resolution and peace building. The Quran and the Seerah of Prophet laid great importance to jihad, but not terrorism. But it's because it entails an ideological battle to win people's hearts and minds through philosophy of peace. In this case, the Quran emphasizes the peace of conduct and harmony in the world in several Quranic verses. For example, Quran had laid principles to settle disputes. We have to see the Quran for 1099. To know each other's 49:4 of Quran. To cooperate in goodness and not enmity, Quran 49:13. However, the Quran explicitly prohibits a kind of oppression, aggression, cruelty and destruction and mass killing. Without any solid justification, the Quran advocates a war theory, not for hegemony. Muslims to be the terrorists. The basic scripture of Islam explicitly opposes any type of violence in the society and encourages its followers to make peaceful engagements with other faiths. It has been mentioned that the Prophet and his followers in Mecca were constantly exposed to enmity and that their lives were under threat. Furthermore, it's worth noting what the principle the Prophet laid down in the event of armed struggle breaking out. The Quran prohibits its followers that do not be the first to wage war, but to be the first do not the first to attack. Fight in the cause of God. Those who
Mr.
fight
Adil,
but do
can
not.
I please request you to conclude this session?
Okay. Now my conclusion: almost all religions, Islam is the world's second and most populous religion in the world. Its teachings, spiritual and material improvement in order to acquire the best of both worlds, material and spiritual. The accomplishment of those who work for peace in traditional Islamic culture is clearly known in the general perception of Western audience. Social media outlets portrays Muslims in a negative, create impediments to understanding and appreciating the Islamic heritage. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for those pearls of wisdom.
Thank you.
We now call upon Mr. Shakil Ahmed Lone, Research Scholar, Department of Islamic Studies, AMU Aligarh. And Shakil's topic is An Islamic Perspective of Peace and Communal Harmony. Over to you, Shakil.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My topic is An Islamic Perspective of Peace and Communal Harmony. Islam and violence are contradictory to each other, and in other words, spirit of Islam is the spirit of peace. Communal harmony is mentioned in the primary source of Quran. Sorry for this so much. Peace is not merely the absence of war, but it has much more social psychic connotations which involve all aspects of holistic existence. There are so many examples throughout the Islamic history which indicates that the real essence of Islam is the peace and harmony. Peace and harmony are two interrelated concepts. They are the crutches of a prosperous society. Without peace, communal harmony cannot exist, and without communal harmony, peace cannot exist anywhere. It's a known reality that peace and harmony are the highest goals that everyone wishes and expects to attain from the society. Peace peace means absence of war and presence of justice, while as communal harmony simply means living with the unity and mutual collaboration beyond class, caste, creed, religion, gender basis, etc. Living peacefully and maintaining harmony, integrity is a basic necessity of multi-religious societies. Whenever the peace and communal harmony is disturbed, it results in the eruption of violence. Islam emphasizes the importance of the peace and harmony among the people from the very beginning. Islam is the religion of peace, and its concept of communal harmony is the feeling of enmity and love for the people of all communities. Islamic concept of peaceful coexistence and harmony is the view that human beings are united under one God, which command Muslims to build bridges of understanding and cooperation with fellow human beings in order to create an environment of social order. Islam believes that all human beings have been created from the single pair of male and female. Islam believes that there are a lot of traditions of Prophet Muhammad which are clearly giving the message of peace and harmony. As Prophet Muhammad said in a tradition, a true believer is he from whom people's lives and wealth are safe. When we ponder on the Prophet Muhammad's life, we find that he himself was the promoter of peace and communal harmony. And it is an admitted fact that the main objective of the believers is to please Allah or to serve Him, as mentioned in the Quran. I have only created jinns and men that they may serve me. Now, when we contemplate on the above mentioned, we can say verses or traditions, we will find that Allah prohibits killing of any human being. Even Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we can say condemned the killing of a single bird, or we can say a woman or other humans. Now I'm going to conclude. Peace and communal harmony are two interdependent concepts. They cannot exist without each other, because peace leads to harmony and harmony generates peace for society. The current society is multi-religious society in which different religions exist, and in this sort of society, peace and communal harmony are mandatory for its prosperity. Violence is the opposite of the peace, so they cannot concurrent. However, there is the dominance of the violence over the peace and disharmony over harmony. Thus, the Quranic teachings became highly relevant to our multi-religious society. If we go back to the 7th century period before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we will find so many examples of violence. There was a violence everywhere. People were fighting on the little issues. Murder and other crimes were also exist there. But when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam received the teachings of the Quran, with the aid of God's commandments, he turned violence into peace, disharmony into harmony. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam worked hard on the people of his time, finally laid the foundation of a new society of Medina, which was based on peace and communal harmony. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam granted permission to every religion to practice their religion and decide their matters according to their own beliefs or laws. But unfortunately, this sort of peaceful image of Islam has been not presented in front of the world. So we need to ponder on the prophetic model of society for that very society. We should not ponder on the behavior of current Muslims, as many of them are doing violence on the name of Islam. If we want to know the Islamic model of society, we need to turn to the primary sources of Islam, which are Quran and Hadith. Thank you for all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shakil. What lovely views you had, and thank you so much for sharing all of them with us today.
Thanks.
We now have Mr. Sohail Ashraf Mir, who is a research scholar, Department of Islamic Studies, AMU Aligarh. His topic is Fethullah Gulen, his perspectives on interreligious dialogue. Over to you, Mr. Sohail Ashraf Mir. You can unmute Mr. Sohail Ashraf Mir, and you may begin now.
I did, ma'am. Dear dignitaries and dear participants, both in online and offline setting, as my topic is already visible on the screen, Fethullah Gulen, his perspectives on interreligious dialogue. In the contemporary era, I want to first give in, just a sec. First want to give in a brief overview. In the
Sir,
contemporary
are you
era,
trying
religion...
to share your screen?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Yeah, because we can only see one of your windows. It's okay, you can even present your views without the PPT if it's not working.
It's working, just a sec. Is it visible now? Is the screen visible, ma'am?
No, it is not. We can just see your window of the folder that is open.
Just a sec. Is it now visible, ma'am?
No, no, not yet. Mr. Sohail, that is okay. I think you can continue with even without a PowerPoint.
Okay.
Thank you.
First, I want to give a brief overview. In the contemporary era, religion remains one of the most important aspects of human life. Pertinently, we live at a time where the importance of dialogue among people, people of faith for the effective pursuit of peace is without parallel. In modern times, the disagreements between faiths continue just as they have in the past. However, there are more efforts on each side to overcome differences and establish a peaceful coexistence and mutual understanding. The most important factor in contributing to meaningful peace around the world is to establish a peaceful relationship between religious communities, which is to be achieved through dialogue. The dialogue of civilization, which is in effect a dialogue of religions, is an imperative which laid upon us in an unprecedented way. If civilization are not at peace, the world cannot be at peace. Gulen has remarked, debate should not be for the sake of ego, but rather to enable the truth to appear. Dialogue means the coming together of two or more people to discuss certain issues, and thus the forming of a bond between these people. Gulen asks Muslims to be self-critical and maintains that they should not make religion of Islam an ideology. Making Islam an ideology, in fact, has brought it to the political arena, hereby preventing Muslims from entering dialogue with adherents of other religions. Ideologies are divisive rather than uniting. This is a social and historical reality. He sees that Islam must be seen as a religion exemplified in mind, heart, and daily life, and should not be a means of selfish partisanship, personal and national feelings of enmity. Indeed, it is of the essence of faith to bring things together, to reconcile rather than divide. My next subtitle is People of the Book, Ahlul Kitab. The term People of the Book or Ahlul Kitab is mentioned in the Quran 24 times, referring to Christians and Jews in particular. The relationship between Muslims and the people of book, Jews and Christians has been a subject of discussion among Muslims throughout the centuries. Islam's long ecumenical roots are easily traced to the famous verse in the Holy Quran in chapter 3, verse number 64. Gulen remarks that interreligious dialogue seeks to realize the basic oneness and unity of religion, the university of belief. More specifically, Gulen believes that dialogue among Jews, Muslims and Christians must be initiated. He argues that there are many theoretical or creedal reasons for Jews and Muslims to come together as there are for Christians and Jews to draw closer together. For one thing, Muslims have good records of dealing with Jews. For another, there has been almost no discrimination, no Holocaust, no denial of basic human rights and no genocide on the part of Muslims against Jews. Indeed, as Gulen notes, Jews are welcomed in times of trouble, as can be seen in the Ottoman state embraced them after their expulsion from Spain. Now, some key terms I want to discuss here. Gulen's approach is widely based on human-centric discourse, and it is because of Gulen's worldview is God-centric, and his view on dialogue is human-centric. Gulen's vision of dialogue is centered on the engagement at the level of our common humanity. His approach is thus inclusive and comprehensive. One who truly embodies this approach becomes Gunul Insani, means a person of the heart. Diversity. He talks about diversity. The most important element of Gulen's human-centric discourse is the belief that diversity is intended. For Gulen, diversity of race, religion, nation, and life way was intended by God and should be accepted and valued as a route to understanding. According to him, the response to diversity through positive engagement and dialogue is one of the major goals that the divine will has set for humankind. Empathetic acceptance. Humility and being non-judgmental is very important to achieve what Gulen called. Okay, ma'am, I'm just concluding with the last remarks. He talks about positive action. Positive action or musbat harakat is another important element on which Gulen paid emphasis on, which is very relevant to dialogue. Last but not least, in his teaching and writings, Gulen constantly stresses the necessity of transformation of negative perceptions between Muslims and non-Muslims and importance of tolerance as a way to bring about peace to the society. People with different ideas and thoughts are either going to seek ways of getting along by means of reconciliation, or they will constantly fight with one another. As Gulen point out, to conclude, good intentions, positive thinking, and perceiving the beautiful are signs of a person's purity of heart and the immensity of their sunshine. If a person starts to judge others, no one will be left behind if we do not hold on to good opinions from the beginning. We cannot help but judge everybody and everything. But when other people are concerned, they should hold on to good opinions. We must remember that it's better to be mistaken in a good opinion than being proven right with a negative opinion. Thanks to all. Thanks.
Thank you for these novel perspectives, Mr. Suhail. We have Mr. Furqan Majid from Central University of Kashmir, and his topic is on peace.
Yes, thank you. Is the PPT ready? Is it visible there?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, respected chairperson and Professor Hamidullah Marazi, my patron, and other dignitaries, dear audience, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and a very good afternoon to you all. The topic of my presentation is Trilogue Among Abrahamic Religions, a Guide for the Perplexed. Since just being brief, when we talk about the trilogue in a at the very outset, to bring on the table here the trilogue, we mean the deities of three different faiths or religions called Abrahamic religions, like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. What is most important to think is that all these three religions consider that Abraham is the bedrock. That simply means Abraham is a central or key figure in these three religions. There are different narratives that talk about the Abrahamic religions. All the three religions, they have different narratives, but to the extent that they are somewhat similar to each other. For example, if we talk in case of biblical narratives, biblical narrative says that, which is recorded in book of Genesis of the Old Testament, that I have appointed you, that is, God has appointed you, O Abraham, to be the father of many nations. Same way, Burke's document has also pointed out that Jews, by the people of Judaism, they consider the first Jew Abraham, and simultaneously Christians also consider that the Abraham is the first Christian. At the same moment, Quran also acknowledges that ما كان إبراهيم يهودا ولا نصرانيا ولكن كان حنيفا مسلما. So that simply means Muslims do also consider that Abraham was a Muslim. So historically speaking, Abrahamic traditions have been utilized to foster positive relationships among the Semitic traditions, as has beautifully quoted by Kushal. He states that the disputes among Abrahamic faiths is like that of the family disputes. This as a family dispute. So in which each of the three faiths believe that it has preserved the paternal or maternal heritage in their pursuit. So coming to the different narratives of biblical nature and Islamic and Christian nature, Abrahamic narratives, as is
Sir,
said
can you
that,
please conclude your paper? Humble request.
yes, but just few more things I want to mention, and then I will just conclude it. So as I mentioned that there are different narratives, and there are also core narratives which try to link Abraham to their religions. So same way we have a substantial basis for the trilogue. There are many verses. Even Second Vatican Council has also acknowledged that there is a role of scriptures which bind all the three religions together, and they try to put this line that they are trying to put to draw a line actually which can help us to understand all the three religions and put them on a table so that the understandings and conclusions can be better on. At the same time, what has been stressed on is like the commonalities, and there are common beliefs in all these three religions, like monotheism, like prophethood, and other things as they are displayed on the slides. And I have also discussed it detailed in my paper, then how these three religions can come together, can come on a table for the dialogue, so that all the confusions and can be withdrawn or can be resolved. So since there is paucity of time, I wanted to discuss these points. So there is what my paper is going to actually stresses on. There is a proper methodology. If we can follow that methodology, all Abrahamic religions can be put together, and their many disputes can be resolved. So to come to conclude, this is evident from this study that which is there in the paper, that Abrahamic religions instead of faiths have much more shared heritage and commonalities. So by focusing on those commonalities, tranquility or peaceful behavior can be maintained. So thank you very much for listening my paper here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Majid, and I'm sure there is a lot that we will be reading in your paper, and thank you once again. We now call upon our final speaker, who is Dr. Mukesh Pimpslikar, and he is an assistant professor at GM Momin College, and he is from the Department of Philosophy. His topic is Panchashil for Global Peace. I'm sorry, his department is Biotechnology, and his topic is Panchashil for Global Peace. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I will not take much of a time, as we know that Buddha's philosophy and teaching is known for global peace. As Buddha has laid down 5%, or which popularly call it as Panchashil. Originally Panchashil is mentioned in Pali scripture. I am not going into detail of Pali, I am going to just translate it. First says that I observe refraining from killing any living being. Second being, I observe refraining from taking what does the owner not give. That means, in short, it is stealing. I refrain myself from stealing. Third being, I refrain myself from committing sexual misconduct. Fourth being, I refrain myself from telling lies. And fifth being, I refrain myself from taking any intoxicant, which is popularly mentioned in all the religions or all the religious texts. And from the extract of the Panchashil, new set of principles were formulated to conduct international relations that would reflect the aspiration for all nations to coexist and prosper together in peace and harmony. 5 principles of peaceful coexistence were first formulated in the agreement of trade and intercourse between the Tibet region of China and India, which was signed in April 29, 1954. What does this 5 principle tells us? Number 1 is mutual respect to each other, territorial integrity and sovereignty. Second being mutual non-aggregation. Third being mutual non-interference. Fourth being equality and mutual benefits. And fifth being peaceful coexistence. And the basis of this 5 principle, the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he has said that those who desire peace for the world must know once for all that there can be no equilibrium or stability for either the East or the West unless all aggregation, all imperialistic dominations, all forced interference in other countries' affairs and completely avoiding this. So Panchashil can provide the ideological foundation for the developing paradigm of international interaction, allowing all nations to work towards peace and prosperity in cooperation, maintaining their national identity, spirit and character. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, sir, fantastic. I now call upon the chairperson of this session, Professor G.N. Khaki. Sir, I request you to give us an overview of this session in just about 2 minutes or so, sir, please. Okay. So, can I please invite Dr. Shivani Sharma to give us an overview of this session in just about 2 minutes? Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity. It's wonderful to be a part of this venture. I see some very, very familiar friends out there on the dais. So I wish to thank the organizers and especially GM Momin Women College, and thank you Professor Hamid sir and the moderator who has been very patiently conducting the entire session. So I just very briefly, I have to give a very summarized perspective, having heard all the 11 papers. I think there are few points that we can, treat as a takeaway message. First of all, I think we really need to understand what religion has to offer us in the name of virtues, because no religion can be devoid of virtues or a virtuous life that it has to offer. So we really need to be, as students of philosophy, I would say that we really need to be a little careful when we deliberate on anything that has to contribute towards our personal and professional and overall personality when it comes to religion. So we should be very, very watchful what kind of virtues it has to offer. And secondly, we must, as reflective, not only human beings, but as citizens of a state, as a citizen of a free state, we must also be very responsible in, reacting to the things that we are not used to. We should be little patient, and we should be little empathetic towards all kinds of atmosphere, environment that is prevailing out there in the society, and hence we should be more considerate in treating the views, even if they do not match us to what we have been carrying in the name of cultural baggage throughout our lives. And thirdly, we must also be very careful when it comes to being a member of a social group. Suppose I endorse that yes, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, we have yoga philosophy, we have Vedanta philosophy. So many views are all together, I think they're all similar. I mean, nothing is very different that I have to add up. All religions would endorse that yes, peace has to be carried out, peace has to be prevail. It has to prevail in come whatever may situation be like. But when it comes to me as not as an individual but as a member of a social group, how do I endorse the idea of my own religious value or I do not endorse the religious value of the other religious group. So that is also, I think, one of the major concerns, that when it comes to academic platform, I have to sound, be, a neutral speaker, a neutral, a person with a neutral perspective. But when it comes, when I go back to my, social group, how do I react? That is one big difference which needs to be taken care of, because, this difference between, manasa, vachasa and karmana, that is, I differ in my views, I differ in my speech, and then I also differ in my behavior. And I speak something else, I do something else. This is one factor which we all, encounter in our personal lives, and hence I think we as students of philosophy have every right, and it is our protocol to be a little watchful of these shortcomings and challenges that we go through every day in our life. And probably, one of the Professor Hamid must be, he must not be surprised when I, reiterate. I often, enunciate this shade when I get an opportunity on such platforms, that इंसान की बदबख्ती भी अंदाज से बाहर है, इंसान की बदबख्ती भी अंदाज से बाहर है, कमबख्त खुदा होकर बंदा नजर आता है. Now we have this tendency to divinize or personify nature or divinize humans, but still when it comes to our own limited circles, we get very narrowed down by our own selfish interests. Hence, I think be it any religion, I need not, there have been wonderful speakers, right from Amar Singh to Shakil Ahmed, and I'm forgetting the name of the honorable faculty member of your college from biotechnology. So we all had wonderful, contributions in the name of, religion. And we also must, one more thing which I, came to my mind, that we must also be little free in our, abilities, not to presume too much that we are living in hatred, or we are living in, from the last decade, there is some kind of a hatred. No. The other perspective could be there is an awakening. So I think on platforms like this, we must be very responsible for the kind of expressions that we carry out, at least in public. Yes, I agree that there could be distressing situations for everyone, but these have already been there. And that is why, where I think that philosophy has a great role to play, whereby, with philosophy, religion is not apart from the philosophical ideas it has to, give us. Religion is actually giving us philosophical ideas. Religion is embedded in philosophical ideas, and philosophical ideas, the very moment that when we endorse that, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya, these are the value system, and these are the universal value system. You can't say that Islam doesn't endorse Ahimsa. Of course it does. We can't say that Christianity doesn't endorse, Asteya, not committing adultery, not stealing away things of others, which does not belong to me, should not be with me. So right from Plato, Aristotle, Kautilya, Arthashastra, and so many other, perspectives that we have, I think universal values have to be valued and practiced individually and also as a member of a particular social group. You cannot be two as an individual and as a social member, no. It has to be, there has to be oneness, there has to be a unified principle that has to continue throughout our lives. And I think with these words, I would say that I wish to congratulate all the participants for being very modest in their approaches for endorsing universal values throughout. And they have been I believe that what we speak, we become that. And with this hope, I believe that there will be many, many opportunities our way, especially the young budding thinkers that we have, those who presented. I really wish to congratulate them. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. It was wonderful to be a part of this venture. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
We have come to an end of a very enriching session. We would like to thank Dr. Shivani Sharma, co-chairperson for this session, for her concluding remark. We would like to thank Professor Simin Bawa for smoothly handling this session. Thank you, ma'am. I request Dr. Tabashum Sheikh, ma'am, to kindly felicitate Professor Simin Bawa. I request all of you to give a round of applause to the Professor Simin Bawa. Before we move on to the next session, I request Dr. Tabashum Sheikh, ma'am, to please felicitate our management members here. Ma'am, please felicitate Mr. Almaz Umaid Faki, sir. Yes, unko bhi kar. Thank you, sir, for your presence here. We would like to felicitate Mr. Bilal Yusuf Ali Faki, sir. एक और मैनेजमेंट फिर उनके बाद thank you, ma'am, for yeah, we are going to the next session. I hand over this session to Dr. Archana Gupte.
Friends, this will be the third session for today. And after this session will be the lunch time. So bear with us. Today the lunch is a bit late. But unless we finish this, we will not be late for the valedictory function. So after lunchtime, we will be having one more session and then will be the valedictory function. So please bear that the lunch will be a bit late, not like yesterday. So I'm so happy that everybody has come in quite good numbers and they are so much interest, and we had very good resource people. We had excellent chairpersons, excellent moderators, excellent co-chairpersons. So definitely it is a grand success for all of us. It's a very big success for all of us. Okay, in this blended form, we have not had any power problem. We had not had any hitch. So far, so good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon, one and all present here. I, Dr. Archana Gupte, Associate Professor from Department of Botany, welcome you all for this business session. The business session is based on the theme, Role of Education for Promoting Peace and Dialogue. I feel honored and privileged to welcome Professor Sheshadri, the chairperson for this session. Dr. Sheshadri, he is a retired head Department of Philosophy and ex-vice principal of Khalsa College, Mumbai. We have a co-chairperson, Dr. Afroz Ahmed Bisati. He is Associate Professor, Department of Islamic Studies, Islamic University of Science and Technology, Kashmir. He is going to join us online. We have with us moderator, Dr. Jeremiah Graham. He is the attorney in California, USA, and he is a scholar of law and religion. We are honored to have you here with sir. I welcome Sheshadri sir. I request Dr. Jeremiah Graham to please take over the session further.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all of you. It's an honor to be here today.
I welcome Mr. Chinmay Bapat. Offline में है सब ये लोग एक ही offline so I have invited so, yes, Dr. Jeremiah Graham, please join us, sir.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. It is an honor to be here today. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you, sir. Sir, we have with us Dr. Ziauddin, Mr. Chinmay Bapat, Dr. Jaspreet Kaur Sandhu. I request them to please come on the dais. Mr. Ashaq Ahmed Ginai, I think he was in the
Ashaq Ahmed Ginai,
okay, he knows. Okay. Sir, please take over the session further. Dr. Jeremiah Graham, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor for me to be here. I want to first invite our first speaker. I'm really excited about this topic, and that is Professor Paul Mogese. He's a Professor Emeritus of Religious Studies, Rosemont College, Pennsylvania, and he's going to be speaking to us about turbulence in interreligious relations, focusing on Christianity and Islam. Professor Mogese, I'll ask you to please present your topic.
Perhaps Professor Saab has not joined us so far, so you may invite another paper reader till he may join. Thank you.
Okay, very well. In that case, our next presenter is Dr. Sheikh Idris Ahmad. He's the head of the Department of Islamic Studies for Government Degree College in Jammu and Kashmir. His topic is an Islamic approach of the interreligious dialogue with reference to inclusivism and exclusivism. Dr. Ahmed, I'd ask you to please present your topic.
Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be the part of this August conference. I will just give a succinct overview of my paper titled An Islamic Approach of the Interreligious Dialogue with reference to inclusivism and exclusivism. There are ample and copious references in the Quran that are essential for an inclusivist perspective. For instance, number one, the conception of God. The conception of God in Islam is that Allah is the creator, Khaliq, universe. And that means it reflects that God is a God of everyone. And it can be referred in the Quran, chapter 39, and verse number 62. Number two, the conception of unity of mankind, that all human beings are descended from one pair of parents and part of one family. that is Adam and Eve, regardless of their color, creed, caste, religion. It can be referred in the Quran in chapter 49, verse 13, and chapter 17, verse number 70. Number 3, the conception of the dignity of man. It is that all human beings, irrespective of their distinction, irrespective of any distinction, because of human beings, they are honored and dignified, as Quran mentions in the Quran, chapter 17, verse number 70. I will quote the Quran text: "We have honored the sons of Adam." Number 4, the concept of the religion. It is that all religions of the world that preceded Islam have been revealed by God. Means that, and also it Quranic verses, they reflect that Islam is a summation and culmination of the previous teachings. It can be referred in the Quran, chapter 2, verse number 4. But at the other hand, when we come across some of the verses of the Quran seems presenting exclusivist perspective. For example, I quote the Quran text, quote, "True religion with God is Islam," unquote. It can be referred in the Quran chapter 3, verse number 19. I quote also the Quran text, I quote, "Today I have perfected your religion." And it is in the chapter 5, verse number 3. And the other verses which are very critical of certain beliefs, religion, and practice of others. But while dealing with such kind of verses, there are certain principles laid down in the Quran which are essential. For example, number 1, the Quran asks Muslims not to speak ill about other religion. Chapter 6, verse number 108. Number 2, it asks Muslims not to argue with other religion unless in a way that is better. Chapter 29, verse number 46. Number 3, it commands Muslims to invite, that is our work, invite others to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good instruction and argue with them in a way that is best. Chapter 16 and verse number 125. And the last, that is 4th, it commands Muslims that, I quote the Quran text, "Let there be no compulsion in religion." It is in the chapter 2, verse number 56. Apart from these principles, we also need to take into the consideration the contextualist approach while dealing with such kind of verses. We have to take into account the social, political, economic, cultural, and intellectual context of the 7th century Arabia, in particular Makkah and Medina. So, cutting short, I will just conclude my paper with these words that the research shows that in the process of interreligious dialogue on highlighting commonalities and differences as well, we can build relationships. Relationships can be achieved in the world of diverse faiths for peace building, a thing needed to human direly at this critical juncture when religion is associated with violence and conflict. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Those were very good words, and I would love to interact with you more. I wish we had more time to hear on this topic. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Zayuddin, Assistant Professor, Department of Islamic Studies, AMU in Aligarh. His topic is respect for other religions. Please present your topic, sir. Sir, please unmute your microphone. We cannot hear you.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا لي. I am audible to all? Yes, with the permission of the chair, Professor Shishadri, I want to present my paper on Sir Sayyid's response to religions in colonial India, a study of Tam, Ahl Kitab, rather the topic that was announced. So kindly correct it. I have divided the paper into several chapters, sub-headings like introduction, interfaith dialogue, Sir Sayyid's vision, review of Tam Ahl Kitab, the 9 objections raised by ordinary and ulama of the time, and overview, the mixing with Christians, and the issue of tawalla, that is trust,
and a conclusion. So it's a very historical fact that before composing the Ta'am al-Kitab, Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan has written a very historic documentary titled as Tabyin al-Kalam fi Tafsir al-Tawrat wal-Injil ala Millat al-Islam in 1862. And later on, in 1868, he wrote Ta'am al-Kitab, on which I am going to present my view. Basically, this paper will ensure Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan as a harbinger and founder for interfaith dialogue in Indian subcontinent. As I have mentioned, many books which came into light after 1960, such as In Search of New World Ethics from New York, Striving Together in the Way of God, Muslim Participation in Christian-Muslim Dialogue, Alternative Politics for Asia, a Buddhist-Muslim Dialogue, Judaism and Islam, Boundaries, Communication and Interaction, Dialogue of Culture, the Future of Religions between Western and Islamic Societies, likewise. So I'm not going to read my full paper as it runs over 12 A4 pages, even though I want to give some impression of my some paragraphs. As I have written here, that this paper is a humble effort to elaborate the intellectual discourse initiated by Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan about the lawlessness of the dinner with the Christian and mutual relationship with them. He realized mutual understanding and interfaith harmony as an essential foundation for Indian society. Convinced with the need, he wrote 2 books, just I have mentioned them. These are the 2 milestones that created several themes, discourse and narrative, necessitated interfaith dialogue as a social and customary bond for making India a leader for global fraternity. Therefore, the intellectual credibility for interfaith dialogue goes to Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan. In this perspective, the present article develops a picture of deductive approach designed by Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan in his Ta'am al-Kitab. So I have mentioned here the relevance of the theme. Here I have quoted the Misate Medina. I have also intertuned that talk with the Hilful Fuzul, and I have mentioned the migration of Habsha for strengthening my idea that interfaith dialogue and the understanding among the religion was not a new discourse of this century, but it was happened in the time of the emergence of Islam, and Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has led a role, and it must be.
Sir, hate to interrupt, but please conclude your remark.
Yes, inshallah. So I want to, skipping over all these, I only read some sentences about conclusion. In nutshell, the work of Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan ignited the world with the relevance of doctrine of pluralism during 1868 in India. He was very much considerate to evolve a historic unity and integrity among the religious classes of India, namely Christian, Hindus, Sikhs, Jews, and Muslims, to unite the followers of Semitic and non-Semitic religions into one thread of friendship and harmony. His services of the nation at different levels, education, religion, and society, are wonderful. His contribution was acknowledged by authorities of all religions. Second, the Ahkam al-Ta'am is a monumental thesaurus for mankind. A good faith and harmony among different classes of Indian society can be treated and can be taken over by this book. He has initiated his task by the earlier article titled Khair. I have just mentioned here that the article in Urdu on which he developed his idea. The treatise Ta'am al-Kitab and the Tabyin al-Kalam both were the milestone and supposed as effective and forceful outcome from the powerful pen of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan during the polemic period. Third and the last. To sum, the present article suggests that by writing Tam Ahle Kitab, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan protected the old aged inheritance of India, which is known in modern discourse as pluralism, for which inter and intra-faith dialogue is a backbone for all culture and civilization. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your words. I wish on all these topics, I wish we had more time to hear from each speaker. Next, I'd like to invite Chinmay S. Bapat. He's the Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology at the R.J. College of Art, Science, and Commerce. His topic is From Intergroup Differences to Coalition Building, Peaceful Coexistence in Multicultural Environments. Sir, I please would kindly ask you to present your topic.
Good afternoon to one and all. I am Chinmay Bapat, and I am going to present a paper on how to understand how we move on from intergroup differences to coalition building and establishing peaceful coexistence in multicultural environments. Can I please have the PPT? PowerPoint, yes. So before I start talking about the main crux of my paper, I just want to clarify some definitions that I have adopted to understand how cultural differences, how cultural conflicts occur, and what solutions we can try to find out of them. So what is culture? Culture involves information acquired from other individuals via social transmission mechanisms such as imitation, teaching, or language, where such information has the capacity of affecting individuals' behavior. Now, this is the broad conceptualization of culture that I have considered. And human cultures are based upon or founded upon social constructions such as values, beliefs, which only exist because collectively individuals believe in them. Similarly, we can look at human cultures as a multi-scalar concept, which revolves around the concept of nationalities, localities, or even social identities which are associated with religion, language, etc. Now, what is multiculturalism? Multiculturalism is defined as the peaceful coexistence of different cultures without inequality. It is not the assimilation of cultures into one, rather each culture having the same space for expression. So, next slide please. So the main purpose of my paper was to address two questions. How cultural conflicts occur, what are the evolutionary motivations behind them, and what are the solutions that we can look out for. For the paucity of time, let me focus on the second question first. What are the solutions we can look forward to? So recent studies in psychological science has provided us with, can we have a next slide please? Provided us with some knowledge that when, rather than looking at individuals just as members of an outgroup, when people tried seeing them as members of multiple categories, belonging to multiple categories, such as speaking different languages, belonging to gender, having different ages, having different food or cultural preferences, then they perceived them as more human than before, precisely because they could understand the uniqueness of each individual, which is individuation, rather than giving them a simplified label that they are an outgroup member. In another study, the role of oxytocin, these days also referred to as love or trust hormone, which is important for social bonding. It was observed to increase cooperation to help people of outgroup members, basically. And it was seen that especially in xenophobic individuals who are hateful towards foreigners or strangers, the effect of oxytocin was only enhanced with increased compliance to societal norms or tolerant norms. So establishing those norms were important. And finally, a positive light is shown by some recent studies that found with increasing ethnic and religious diversity over time, the trust in the society increased between different groups, because of which the intergroup contact increased, resulting in reduced stereotypes as well as increased life satisfaction. Can we have the next slide, please? So, what are the cognitive processes behind these solutions that are working? The answer lies in the first question itself: why do cultural conflicts occur in the first place? First, it's important to understand that cultures evolve, similar to how organisms evolve in a Darwinian fashion. That is, through the framework of natural selection. One might ask how? Cultural traits also show variation like biological traits. Cultures also show competition between each other to survive. This survival and this competition is for the limited resources of our brain. That is, for example, the limited capacity of our memory, which only can carry forward certain cultural information and not all the cultural information. And finally, cultures are inherited over generations, just like biological traits. These parallels have been supported by extensive research, and in this process of cultural evolution, human capacity of learning plays an important role in explaining the adaptive behaviors which explain why certain cultural traits survive. So,
sir, I hate to interrupt, but please conclude.
Yes, just
your remarks.
2 minutes more. We can look at a language as an example. Can we have the next slide, please? So, fissioning between cultures happens because of boundary formation, and this boundary formation is happening because of certain evolved preferences that human beings have. We want homogeneous environments, we want stability, we want structure, we want simplicity in our environments. The problem is that such environments or such type of thinking was adaptive in our monocultural or the environments in which we were living in hunter-gatherer groups. Now, in increasingly multicultural environments, this type of thinking is not adaptive. Can we have the next slide, please? And spotting these intergroup differences is precisely what the system 1 thinking of our brain is doing. What we need to do is shift to a system 2 thinking of coalition building, which will detect the inconsistencies between differences in out-group and in-group. That is, we understand that different religious, different cultural groups are not very different from each other. And we reclassify these members as actually similar to our in-groups. And this will only happen if we try to actively engage in this system 2. Can we have the next slide, please? I am concluding. And this active engagement of system 2, as we have seen in these solutions, is possible with policies or group initiatives at our own social level, which focus on endorsing intergroup contact, the interfaith, interreligious dialogue that we have been talking about, which is accompanied with repeated exposure, stimulating oxytocin system of our biology, and having normative social influence. And if we are actually able to actively engage in system 2, because to conclude, we cannot force our brain to just directly stop focusing on those intergroup differences, which is done by the system 1, which has been evolved through a gradual process. If we are actually able to actively engage in this system 2, then I'm sure in the recent future, we will be able to turn the lyrics of John Lennon into reality. Can we have the next slide, please? Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Again, as with all speakers, I wish we had more time to explore each topic. Now I'd like to invite Dr. Jaspreet Kaur Sandhu. He's the Professor, Department of Encyclopedia of Sikhism, Punjab University in Patiala. His topic is Interfaith Understanding and World Peace from a Sikh Perspective. Sir, please deliver your topic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for giving me time. And good afternoon. Are you listening me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, Madam. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. With the permission of the chairperson, the topic of my paper is Interfaith Understanding and World Peace, a Sikh Perspective. When we talk about the religions, always the question arises in my mind that do we have enough religious understanding to develop peace and harmony? And the answer is always no, because due to the lack of the religious understanding worldwide. Because each day we are confronted with various types of political, ethnic and religious conflicts all over the world. Human sufferings caused by armed conflicts, terror attacks, poverty and injustice, violation of human rights, and presently we are seeing this with Russia and Ukraine. It is a present situation before us and it is a very sorrowful situation for the world peace, and I think this is the right time we have having this type of conferences that we can take the views from all the academic personalities to how we can understand these religious diversities, how we can maintain the world peace. So these are the major threats for the peace in the world. All the religions are guiding for bettering humanity, but the whole mankind is confused, unable to find out the relevant situation of the problem, as the love, equality and peace have been thrown out of the doors of humanity. So I think that the more one endeavors to get out of this situation, the more one gets entangled in its web. Hence today mental peace and spiritual solace has become the need of every individual in the world, so that a peaceful atmosphere of harmony could be created for the whole mankind. And for this, interfaith understanding can play a vital role, as it provides to understand the doctrines, beliefs and practice of others. And for this, Sikhism is a pluralistic religion which accepts and appreciates religious plurality. Because Sikhism, through its precept and practice in daily life, has made a tremendous contribution to the interreligious understanding and harmonious living. That is why Sikhism has come to be characterized as a syncretistic religion of the world. It has been heralded as the forerunner of emerging multi-faith society. The society at the time of Guru Nanak was rigid and divided into watertight compartments. It was creating obstacles in the progress of society. And the Guru Nanak's message at that time was in his Bani, that he always shares with, and that is continuous process once throughout his life, that as long as we are in this world, O Nanak, we must listen to others as well as express ourselves to others. This is the main point, that first we have to listen to others and then we have to express ourselves also, and we also can pay we should not listen to others. We have always listened to others. In Guru Granth Sahib also, such narrow divisions were given, shackled and the honor placed to the writings of holy men from other communities beside his own and those his four spiritual predecessors. Again, the Sikh Gurus laid stress on cooperation and harmony among different communities. Sikhism is always dedicated to uphold the unity of society. The Sikh religion is universal in its orientation because it is not bound by geographical, cultural and theoretical barriers. For this, the practical example was Guru Nanak's Udasis, because he went through Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Baghdad and Makkah in the west, and every time he urged them to promote universal humanistic values. When he was interacted with the yogis, with the qazis, with the brahmanas, he always do for the humanistic values. In Sikhism, social harmony and cooperation through the action of dialogue, all religions collaborate for the integral development and liberation of people, and this is the example of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's martyrdom, because for the protection of the right of Hindus to freely practice the religion, he sacrificed his life because the intolerant and oppressive behavior of the Mughal ruler at his time. He said, according to Sikh perspective, there are three: Naam Japna, Kirat Karna and Nvan Chakna are the triple principles underlying Sikh ethics and way of life. Practically, it is visible in the langar, where everyone who is belonging to any religion background, social class or gender, she is welcome to eat the same food as everyone. There are examples in our history that Emperor Akbar sitting on the floor with the commoners to partake in the langar. Guru Arjan chose
I hate to
Muslims.
interrupt, but may the presenter, Dr. Sandhu, will you please conclude your remarks?
Okay, sir, only 1 minute. I will be concluding my paper. I am giving just one example of religious diversity that Muslims said Hazrat Mian Amir of Lahore to lay the foundation of the Golden Temple at Amritsar, and Guru Har Rai was also a Muslim, have a relation with Muslim priest Dara Shikoh. Guru Gobind Singh had many Hindus and Muslims in his service, and also his allied